Welcome to Learn with Saad. In this video, we are going to learn about fractions. The first topic in fraction is adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So there are three steps we'll follow in dealing with mixed numbers when we are adding or subtracting them. First, what we will do is we will write the mixed numbers as an improper fraction. In order to write it as improper fraction, first we will times 4 with 3, which is 12, and then we will add 2 into it, which gives us 12 plus 2 is 14 over 4. Then please write down the sign plus. After that, same procedure for the second fraction. To convert it into an improper fraction, we will times the denominator 8 with the whole number 2. 8 times 2 is 16, and then you add the result with the numerator 2. 16 plus 2 is 18 over 8. So our step 1 is done. So we have converted the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now the second step is to rewrite the improper fraction with common denominator. So in order to have the common denominator for both of them, so if we times the first fraction with top and bottom with 2, we will get 28 over 8 plus 18 over 8. So we have now done the first step, second step as well, 28 improper fractions with common denominator. Now we can add the numerators because we have same denominator. 28 plus 18 would be 46 over 8. So now we are on to the step 3. Answer it in the simplest form. If we divide both top and bottom with 2, that would give us 23 over 4. So that's our answer. That's how, by following 3 steps. First, what I did is I converted the mixed number into improper fractions, and then in the second step I rewrite the improper fractions with common denominators, and then you simply add them up. That's how you add mixed fractions. Now this is time for you to please do all these exam style questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the next topic in fraction is equivalent and simplifying fraction. So first I will start with simplifying fractions. Simplifying fraction is basically means writing an equivalent fraction using the smallest possible numbers. We also call it writing fraction in lowest term as well. So how we simplify a fraction? What we need to do is basically we need to follow this rule in this one, is divide the top and bottom number by any common factor. We now 4 and 8 both goes in table of 4. So 4 times 1 is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8. That would be 1 over 2 would be simplified form of this fraction 4 over 8. So let me do that again for you so you understand. So 4 and 8 both goes into table of 4. 4 divided by 1 is 4, and 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So that's how we can simplify it. Let's look at the next question. 10 divided by 40 or 10 over 40 in a fraction form. You can always cancel in this is kind of fractions 0 and 0. So 1 over 4 would be simplified form of 10 over 40. In the third example, 3 over 9, we know 3 times 1 is 3 and 3 times 3 is 9. Basically what we are doing, we are dividing 3 and 9 by its common factor, like divide the top and bottom number by the common factor. So in these kind of 10 and 40, we can always simplify it by cancelling the zeros. 4 and 8, you can divide it by common 4, divide by 4, or is simply 4, 4 times 1 is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8. You can write it as half. This is called writing fraction in its lowest term or simplifying the fractions. Now please simplify all these three fractions yourself and then check your answers. Just to help you a bit more on simplifying fraction or writing the fraction in its lowest form, there's one more thing. If you see both top and bottom numbers are even, which is it in this case 22 and 12, then you can always divide both these numbers by 2. So if we divide 22 by 2, that gives us 11, and then we can also divide 12 by 2, which gives us 6. So 22 divided by 2, or you can half them. If even, if both numbers are even, then you can let's look at 11 over 6. Now one is odd and the other one is even, and we can't simplify it anymore. So 11 over 6 would be our answer, and we can't find any other common factor of 11 and 6, so that is our simplified form. Let's look at the next question, 24 over 30. First thing, both are even if top and bottom, both numbers are even. Yes, 24 and 30 are an even number. So what we would do is basically we will divide top and bottom with 2, or you can half them. Half of 24 is 12, or 24 divided by 2 is 12, and 30 divided by 2 is 15. So one is even, the other one is odd. So then what you can do after that, but we know that we can find more common factors. 12 and 15, they both go in table of 3. So as you can see, 12 and 15, they both go in table of 3. So now we can divide both top and bottom by 3, or we now in a simple way, 3 times 4 is 12 and 3 times 5 is 15. So we can simply write it like that as well. 3 times 4 is 12 and 3 times 5 is 15. This is also another way of doing simplifying fraction into the simplest form or writing in lowest terms. Sometime you will come across fractions like this, 60 over 120. So if you see in this one, what you can do, like I told you in previous example, if you see 0 and 0 at the end of it, you can always get rid of it, 0 and 0, and then you are left with 6 over 12. And now both are even, you can divide it by 2. We now 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 6 is 12. Then after this step, we repeat until no more common factors. So now we can do this step. We can repeat or carry on simplifying it unless we get to this stage where we don't find any more common factors. So 3 and 6, they go into table of 3. 3 times 1 is 3 and 3 times 2 is 6. Also, after this, there's another way of doing it as well. 6 over 12, we now 6 and 12 both go in table of 6. You can divide top and bottom with 6, or 6 times 1 is 6 and 6 times 2 is 12. So that it gives us the same answer. So it's up to you how you want to simplify it. Now the next one is equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions that are equal in value. To find an equivalent fraction, we multiply or divide the numerator top part or the denominator part by the same thing. We're going to multiply or divide the top or denominator part by the same thing. Let's see in this first question. We know how we can, if we compare the numerators first. So from 1 to 4, we know 1 times 4 gives us 4. So here the time 1 with 4 to get 4 numerator on the another fraction. So we need to do the same thing. Multiply the denominator now, because the numerator is time with 4. So we go to times the denominator with 4 as well. Same number. So 6 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24. 24. We now 6 times 4 is 24. So now 24 would be our denominator for this fraction. So we will replace a with 24. So 1 over 6 equals to 4 over 24. So both are equivalent fraction. They are equal in value. In a similar way, we will do the next question. In this one, we have one fraction 3 over 4 equals to f over 12. So we need to find the value of f in this case. We need to find. So first see in this fraction how we got from 4 to 12. If we times 4 with 3, we get 12. We need to do the same thing. As I told you earlier, we multiply or divide the numerator and denominator. Please always remember with the same thing, with the same number, which is in this case is 3. You need to times 3 with the numerator as well. So 3 times 3 would be 9. So 3 over 4 equals to 9 over 12. So that's how you find the equivalent fractions. It's pretty easy and simple. If you follow this simple basic rule, whatever you times the numerator or top number or divide the numerator, you got to do the same with the denominator with the same thing. So first you need to see how you get from one fraction to another fraction. In this one, next question, 27, we're going from a higher number to a lower number. We need to find e. So what we look at the denominator part. We see 27 in the other fraction is a complete fraction. So we'll see how we get 20 from 27 to 9. So if we divide 27, if you divide 27 with 3, you get 9. So we need to do the same thing with this 12 as well. We need to divide 12 with 3. We now 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 4 over 9 be equal to 12 over 27. That's how you find the values of E, F, or A in this case when you are doing equivalent fractions. Now please do all these 3 questions yourself and then check your answer, and make sure you always remember this rule: you multiply or divide the numerator or denominator with the same thing in order to find the values of the unknown variable. Now please do all these exam style questions. Write the following in the simplified form. All these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 12, please. Now please do all these exam style questions and find the values of the letter given in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of them, please. And find the values of all the unknown letters for me, please. The next topic we have is multiplying and dividing the fractions. First, I will explain you the multiplying of 2 fractions. To multiply one fraction by another fraction, first what you need to do, first thing you need to do is, if you find any factors of numerators and denominators, the numerator and denominators part that can be cancelled. So if we see in the first question, we can cancel out common factors by dividing by 3 and 2. 3 times 1 is 3 and 3 times 2 is 6. We can also cancel out 2 and 8 by dividing 2 times 1 is 2 and 2 times 4 is 8. That's our first steps. So we can find the factors of 2 and 8 and 3 and 6. They all go into the same table and we can simplify them. So if you see what I did in this question, I look for factors in both numerator and denominators, and then I cancel them out. So first 3 and 6, which gives us 1 and 2, and I now 2 times 1 is 2 and 2 times 4 is 8. Then what's our second step? Our second step, secondly, we multiply by numerator with numerators only and denominators with denominators only, always. Now I'm going to time numerator with numerators. 1 times 1 is 1, and then denominator with the denominator. 4 times 2 is 8. That's how we times 2 fractions. Please always remember, you can never times 1 and 2, top and bottom, never. After simplifying it, you can always time numerator with the numerator and the denominator with the denominator part. In this case, 1 times 1 is 1 and 4 times 2 is 8. Easy peasy. It's pretty much like doing simplification or simplifying the fractions. Let me do another example for you. So we have in this one 5 over 8 times 3 over 5. First thing what we do, if I can cancel any of numerator or denominators by any of this, I now 5 times 1 is 5 and 5 times 1 is 5. So I can write 1 and 1 instead of 5 and 5. So there are no more factors after this. So what we do, we go to the over Second step, what we do is basically we time numerator with numerators only. Please always remember this thing. Now I'm gonna time numerator with numerators. 1 times 3 is 3, and denominators with denominators only. 8 times 1 is 8. That's how you times two fractions. Let's look at another one. So if you have 4 over 8 times 3 over 7. So in this one, you see, you can 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. And then after that, 1 times 3 is 3. We times numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominator. 2 times 7 is 14. So that's how you times two fractions. Please always remember this step. You can only time numerator with numerator and denominator with denominator. Now let's look at some of the fraction which includes mixed numbers. Whenever you timing mixed number or fraction which has in one fraction or both fraction has mixed number whilst timing with each other, please first convert them into an improper fraction. So we time this 3 with 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. So we can write the first fraction, this first fraction, as 11 over 3 and put the time sign. Then convert this second fraction as well. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1. This one is 17 over 4. So we have now, after that, look out for any common factors or the number if they go into the same timetables. None of the numbers go into a single timetable or any same timetable, so we can't simplify them anymore. So what you do in this case, you time numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominators. 11 times 17 is 187, and 3 times 4 is 12. That would be our answer. Let's look at this next question. First, what we need to do in this one is we need to convert this mixed number into an improper fraction. To do that, we need to times 5 with 3 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Add 1. 15 add 1 is 16 over 5. We also need to write this minus sign with our fraction. Then the next one times 5 over 15. So what we see in this one, we can now 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 1 is 5 as well here. Then after that, 16 and 15, both these numbers don't go into the same or one timetable. So the second step would be we'll times minus 16 with 1 is minus 16, and 1 times 15 is the numerator with the numerator, denominator with the denominator is 15. So minus 16 over 15 would be the product of these two fractions. Product means when you times it, whatever you get as an answer is called the product of those two fractions. Now please have a look at the next example. First thing what we do, we will convert this fraction, both these fractions, into an improper fractions. Same method. 4 times minus 1 is minus 4. Add 2. 8. Minus 8 over 4. The denominator always remains same. Then you write the time sign. Then 6 times minus 1 is minus 6. Plus 8. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 8 is 14 over 6. Also write down the minus sign. So what happens in this one? So see, 8, 4, 14 and 16, they all go in table of 2 anyway, but we can use the other method as well. Like I now, it's up to you, whichever way you wanna do it. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and then I now 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 7 is 14. Next, 2, 7 and 3, they don't go into the same timetable. You can only and always simplify top and bottom, numerator with the denominator. You can never simplify 2 and 7. Always numerator with the denominator, please. Just like, let me give you, finish this question, then I give you an example of that thing. So now we have minus 2 and minus, please don't forget that sign, minus 7. So minus 2 times minus 7, and then you have 1 times 3 in the denominator. That would be minus 2 times minus 7 is 14. 1 times 3 is 3. That would be our answer. Please remember, you can only and always simplify when the numbers are in numerator and denominator. Never try to simplify like 2 times 1 is 2 and 2 times 2 is 4. Never, please, that would be wrong. You can only do with numerator and denominator. Always numerator and denominator, you can simplify them diagonally as well, whichever way, but always numerator top number with the bottom number. You can never simplify them horizontally. Remember this part, please. Now please remember, you can only simplify them like 4 times 1 is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8. Let's say if we got 4 here, you can never do it horizontally. Like if you have 4 here, you can never simplify 4 times 1 is 4 and 4 times 1 is 4. Never. Please never simplify the fractions like that. You can only do it when they are top and bottom, with the top number with the bottom number. You can do it diagonally as well, like this number with this one number. You can simplify them, or top and bottom. Numerator with the denominator, please. Never numerator with the numerator or denominator with the denominator. Never. You can never do it. Simplify them when they are on a straight line. Now please try to do all these 3 questions and then check your answers. The last one for today's fraction one is finding the fractions of a number. So how we find the fraction of a number is basically, what we can do is we can replace the of with a multiplication sign. So 3 over 4 of the of sign, as I told you here, we can replace it with the multiplication sign, and then you go 16. What I suggest you is, please write down 1 underneath it, and then it will become same like our multiplication of fractions. So the same, after that, the same method to simplify it. 4 times 1 is 4 and 4 times 4 is 16. Then we times numerator with the numerator, denominator with the denominator. 3 times 4 over 1 times 1. Okay, 3 times 4 is 12 over 1. And then we can write 12 over 1 as 12, because 1 doesn't change the value of 12. Same for the next one, 66 of 3 over 9. The first thing you would do is you will replace this of with a multiplication sign, 3 over 9. You can write 1 underneath it, and then it will be just multiplication of two fractions. We now 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, and then in the next step we can simplify it more. Now 3 times 1 is 3 again, and 3 times 22 is 66. The last step now is time numerator with the numerator, denominator with the denominator. So 22 times 1 over 1 times 1, which gives us 22 as an answer. Now on to the next question, 10 over 25 of 6. Same, change of sign into times 1, 10 over 25 times 6. We know that 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 times 5 is 25. Now numerator with the numerators, 2 times 6, denominator with the denominator, 5 times 1, it gives us 12 over 5. So that's how you do or find fractions of a number. So please replace off sign stands as a multiple or a cross sign in maths. So 3 over 4 of 16 or anything, wherever you see an off sign, you can replace the off sign with a multiplication sign, please. The next one in fraction is dividing or by fractions with fractions. The first thing you need to do in this one is swap the numerator and denominator of second fraction, please. And when you do that, then you can replace the division sign with the multiplication sign. Again, that's the only thing in it. Please swap, or swap means change the numerator and denominator of second fraction. Numerator becomes denominator and denominator becomes numerator. And when you do that, you replace this division sign with a multiplication sign. So let's see how I do this question here. 2 over 6, we do nothing with the first fraction, it's with the second fraction. What we do is we swap. Swap means basically numerator becomes denominator, so 4 is in numerator, so we will write 4 as denominator. So this 4 as denominator, and then you write 3 as numerator. Of the second fraction always, please. Second fraction. And then you replace the division sign, this division sign, with multiplication sign. Then after that, it becomes just like multiplying two fractions. In this one, we know 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Then also 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. Both the two numbers you are dealing with should, if you see 2 and 4, we're doing first, they both should go into the same table. 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So you replace 2 and 4 with 1 and 2 respectively. And then after that, with the 3 and 6 as well, we now 3 and 6 both goes into the same timetable. The next step is we times numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominator. So 1 times 1 over 2 times 2 equal to 1 over 4. So that would be our answer of 2 over 6 divided by 4 over 3. So let me tell you quickly one last time how to do division of fractions. What you do is simply start with swap the denominator of the second fraction. Yep, so 4 over 3 becomes 3 over 4, and then change this division sign to multiplication sign. After that, you have just two fractions which are timing with each other, and just follow the rule of all the multiplication of fractions timing, and then easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Attempt all these exam style questions. Make sure you write them on your notebook. Please attempt all these exam style questions. Make sure you write them on your notebook.
Please try these exam style questions from 1 to 10, and please write these in your notebook for full.
And show your working, please. Okay, so please attempt all these 1 to 10 questions. Make sure you show all your whole working. Now these questions, exam style questions, are on division. Make sure you please write down all these questions on your notebook and show your working as well, please.